Okay, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be finishing up looking at the Crusades. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the Third Crusade. Today what we're going to think about is why the Third Crusade started and analyse sources about two key figures, two of the most famous figures in the Crusades, Richard and Saladin. Now, in 1187, Saladin, who was an excellent military commander, a Muslim commander, captured the city of Jerusalem. Now, at that point, he'd been in control of the Christians. Now, he'd been fighting for a long time, for 10 years. His initial attempts had failed, but in 1887, he had Garrett Scare, a powerful army, and he won a great victory, a battle called Hattin. Now, he'd taken prisoner the main Crusader leaders, who were Guy of Jerusalem, who was the king, and Raynald of Chatillon. Now, he executed Raynald with his own sword, but he allowed King Guy to live. But this capture of Jerusalem and the execution of Raynald of Chatillon was hugely inflammatory to the West. That meant it made people really angry. Now, after Hattin, he captured the Holy City. He let a lot of Christians leave Jerusalem, but some Crusaders who'd been there since the last Crusade were actually sold into slavery. And he ordered the Christian crosses to be taken down from Jerusalem's mosques, which again made the West very angry. Now, this is when King Richard I of England, King Philip II of France, and Frederick I, who was the Holy Roman Emperor, all Christian, decided to end the fights they had with each other. So they'd all been fighting each other, and they decided to work together to go on crusade and recapture Jerusalem from the Islamic army. Now, there's two quotes here. One describes Richard's, one describes Saladin. A very powerful man of great courage and spirit, he fought great battles and showed a burning passion for war. The king was indeed a man of wisdom, experience, courage, energy, excitable, brave, and clever. Have a think for a second about who that might discover while I read the next one. Everyone agreed that he was a brave soldier. That's why he was given the name Lionheart. He sold everything he could to get money to go on a crusade. Have a think about who that might be. Let's see if you worked it out. The first one is Saladin, leader of the Muslims. Second one is Richard I, King of England. If you've ever seen the cartoon movie Robin Hood, he's the one who comes in at the end. He's famous for his nickname Lionheart. In the cartoon, he's played by a lion. It's not a very accurate one, so don't watch it if you want to understand the history, but do watch it if you want quite a good film. Now, here's a picture of Richard the Lionheart. And it's a modern picture. It's not a primary source, so it's not something from the time. It was painted 100 years ago, showing Christian crusaders under King Richard going into battle. Now, a good way of showing that you think someone's a hero in sort of an older painting is to show light shining on them, because this is meant to be sort of the light of God, the light of heaven. And if you look in this picture, everyone else is quite light, but Richard is wearing red, majestic cape, and he's lit up. And this shows you, obviously, the person drawing this wanted to paint him as the hero. Now, it's saying here he was famous because all but 9 months of his reign was spent away fighting in the Crusades. He wasn't king for very long. So for nearly the entire time he was king, he was off fighting in the Crusades. And the English were taxed heavily to pay for his crusades. That means they had to pay the money for him to take all his knights and crusades. Now, some people were really angry about this. They didn't like the fact that they had to pay for his crusades. But other people saw him as a hero because he was off fighting, the enemies of Christianity. But at the same time, while bad things were happening, while they had to pay lots of money, because he wasn't there, they didn't blame him. They actually blamed his officials, the people he left in charge while he was off fighting. Now, Richard's army fought several successful battles against Saladin and his army. Now, they were trying to get Jerusalem back, but they didn't succeed. But they did win a number of victories, particularly at Acre. Now, what this meant was, because they won these battles, they decided to stop fighting, and he signed a peace treaty with Saladin. And for now, if you look into this more, you'll see there were lots more crusades. But for this point, They brought an end to the fighting between the Christians and the Muslims. And Saladin agreed that Christian pilgrims could visit the Holy Land. So that meant, remember, pilgrimage is a religious journey. So Christians who were traveling to see where Jesus Christ had died, was buried, they believed was risen from the dead, they could go to those important sites. Now, what you're going to be doing in class notebook is you're going to get a number of sources about Saladin and King Richard I. And you're going to read those sources and answer the questions. Now, the big thing to remember here, one thing you might have forgotten, is the difference between a primary source and a secondary source. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in this video. A primary source is something from the time that was made or written at the time of the event. So the event we're looking at is the Crusades. So if it's a primary source, it's something that was made or written down at the time of the Crusades. A secondary source is something that's about the Crusades, but was made afterwards. Okay. Now, your success criteria here are that you're producing clearly written sentences, carefully answered detailed responses to questions, you've compared and contrasted the sources, and you've evaluated and you've analysed the sources. Okay, so in your class notebook, underneath this video, you'll see the sources and the questions. Remember to join me in the meet if there's anything you're not sure of and want help with.